Hello and welcome, everyone. So, the topic I wanted to raise with you today has to do with spiritual souls, highly advanced souls, spiritually minded souls, highly sensitive people. And have you noticed that very often they are the ones who also struggle the most with money, the feelings of abundance, the practice of abundance, with structure, and by extension with relationships also, and kind of the nitty gritty of life, right? um, so this conversation is about spiritual resistance to structure, money, and embodiment. And if we talk about money here and advanced and sensitive souls, so you may have heard, or you may have said it yourself, oh, money is just energy. Money is energy. Yes, yes, money is energy, I know. But what kind of energy? Yeah, everything is energy. I mean, it actually doesn't say much. Money is energy. Everything is energy. Yes, the whole world is energy. Well, then why do some people have more of this energy and some less? And why do I bump my toe on a sofa and someone else doesn't, right? If everything is energy. Well, sofa is obviously not just energy because my toe hurts. So there is more nuance to that. But what kind of energy is money? Let's just think about it for a moment. Close your eyes and think about money. Imagine that your crown opens and money energy starts flowing in. Let's actually do that exercise right now. Think that your crown opens and you start receiving money like a liquid river of gold, and allow that energy to flow into your heart. Money like liquid gold, like a river, or maybe golden coins, and then pouring into your belly, into your womb or hara space. Coins. How does it feel? What kind of energy is it? How does your body feel? How does your aura feel from this gold filling you up? Maybe there are thoughts that you have. Well, thoughts are just programs, so they are fairly safely discarded, I think. But maybe there are thoughts that are saying, oh, money is the root of all evil. It's not spiritual to think about money. Well, then you know where the problems lie. I'm not going to talk about this further. Then the issue is embodiment, right? Then you need to work on embodiment. Um, and I work with that a lot as well in my sessions. Sometimes it takes a very long time, though, for highly advanced and sensitive souls because they don't like to embody. But the energy of money, how does it feel? Does it feel nourishing? It's like, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. That liquid gold filling me up. That actually satisfies my hunger. Maybe my hunger for relationships, maybe my hunger for love, my hunger for food. Turns out money can fill all of it in. Now you know why some people are greedy, because they want that nourishment and they just can't stop. Money is addictive. It's definitely not the root of all evil, but it is nourishing. Just like you can overeat, just like you can have an unhealthy relationship with food, you can also have an unhealthy relationship with money. So if you have wounds related to nourishment, to feeling safe, feeling secure, usually those would come from childhood, right? Maybe past lives, but usually it's reflected in childhood wounding as well. Those are bound to come up at one point or another in life as well. Because money is like mother. It's the motherly energy, the mother who nourishes, who supports, who pays your bills, who lets you live, lets you eat, lets you do what you want, lets you get dressed. She's your mommy. She's clothing you, feeding you, loving you, caring for you. When the flow stops, the attention comes to, oh, I don't have a mother in my life. Where is my mother? What can I do about it? Oh my God, I'm forced to grow up and become my own mother. And that's hard. So for advanced souls, the number one block would often be rooted in that sense of nourishment, strength, stability, security, and the wounds related to that. Now, it's important to clear those wounds and work on those wounds. Absolutely. Some of them are at the soul level, some are at the inner child level, but there is another layer to it. Because we spoke about structure. So that structural level is where we very often struggle, especially as women, because we haven't had that template. And men are better at it than women, actually. But think of the negative emotions. If you are on the healing journey, and for example, let's continue on the money since we started on it. You have been forced to be without money. That's it, right? Mother left. No one supports me. I'm bankrupt. That's it. I'm screwed. We're all going to die. This is happening so that your wounds are brought into light. It's like you're being slammed in the face with the wounding in relation to nourishment, support, etc. There's another layer there, and that's the layer of the so-called negative emotions. Oh, the spiritual souls, we don't like that. Anger, I have a lot of people come to me and say, oh, so much anger has been coming up. Can you help me clear that? Let's work on anger in this session. And I'm going to start asking the question, well, how's your money situation going? If anger has been coming up and you are so unhappy with it and you want to clear it, how's your money? Because sometimes these are related. Think of it as a tree with roots. Your roots, what is below earth, is the underworld, is your descent into the world of the dead. My ancestors literally viewed life as a tree, and there were three worlds, right? There was the underworld, where our ancestors lived and where our spirit went after death. There was the middle world, the trunk, where we live now in the physical, and there was the upper world, where the spirit goes after death and where God lives and the high beings live. And we need to have all three in functional order, otherwise we'll be skewed and something is not going to work. So very often when we go into spiritual advancement, and it's very much needed, the earth needs highly spiritual people to be abundant. I cannot reiterate this enough. I cannot repeat this enough. It's crucial for all of us, for me, for you. So that's why we may be brought through some challenges and trials, because we need to get these parts in order. It is crucial. The earth wants us, and the earth wants us to be abundant. But for that, we need to get our power in order, and we need to go to the roots. So merely clearing anger and clearing grief, in some cases, if you're very overwhelmed and that grief is not yours, and etc., we do those sessions as well, kind of with that energy clearing. But here I'm talking about something else. It's about connecting to grief, to anger. It's about telling God, for example, right? Or a deceased relative, how much you hate them, how much they hurt you. You put them in front of you and you talk to them. And then you take a pillow and you scream into a pillow and you beat that pillow. And you are not allowed to be spiritual or high vibe until you've screamed it out, until you had 30 minutes of screaming. And you are not permitted to move further until you face that grief, rather than trying to chase it away. It's not about wallowing in grief. It's not about being a permanently angry person. Listen, if you're here, if you're listening to this, most likely you're not a permanently angry person. You're not an angry bloke who goes around being angry with everyone. That's not it. The angry bloke is someone who doesn't know how to access any emotion except anger. His anger is actually hiding a million of other things, and he's got a lot of work to do. But for you, you've been taking on, you've been trying to be a good girl, a good boy, you've been trying to be very spiritual. And you couldn't express the anger because it's not spiritual enough. So the only way to deal with it is to turn it inwards, is to start punishing yourself because there's no one else to punish. And so for you, the way forward is to actually yell it out, is to yell, yell at people. Sometimes it works like that. It's a stage. No, you're not going to be stuck in that stage forever. It's good to channel anger and grief. It's good to give them a form and a structure. For example, have a group healing session where we grieve together, let's say for 20 minutes or for 10 minutes. We grieve, we cry, we yell, we put everyone on mute and we are grieving. Or we sit together in a circle, right? And we yell on a rooftop or on the beach. Or have a session where we scream, right? Scream out our wounding. And after those, no, it's not the epitome of healing. It's not a high vibrational alignment. It's not the, the soul embodiment, something. No, but it's a huge part of that. Because until that has been worked through, your roots haven't fully grown. You haven't descended into the underworld. You're not connected to the roots. What do you feel if you're not connected to the roots? You feel malnourished. So you're probably overeating, right? The money's scarce because you have no nourishment. You haven't grieved. You have no roots. So this is a huge chunk of work for advanced and sensitive souls. It's not to float above, but to descend. And kind of in my work, I do both. It's very often in the beginning, it's easy to start with energy work. Many are more sensitive. Getting to work with grief and anger, it actually requires a lot of trust. I'm not just going to pour out my grief and anger at the first person on the internet that I'll have a reading with, right? So it's understandable. So trust can be built. And in a group also, we go into it gently, we prepare. We maybe put some sad music on. We allow the group space to hold our grief. There's nothing you can do about grief. And then we close it. Someone needs to hold the container. Okay, now we end it. Now maybe we want to share. Or maybe we sit in silence. Grief moves like a wave. But then after you worked with it, you find yourself in a very tender, very open, very embodied space where you can hold others more efficiently. You don't have answers. You still have no idea why this happened because we don't. We're not supposed to have all the answers. That's not the work. The work is not about finding all the answers. The work is about embodiment. Without embodiment, you cannot manifest. You cannot be abundant, right? Without embodiment, you cannot feel. And you cannot create. That container remains leaking. You may manifest at higher levels. You may create these things for yourself at the higher level, but the container will be leaking. So, for example, you'll visualize a nice retreat center that you want to build somewhere in the Caribbean. And it will be just that, a visualization. It has no roots. if you haven't descended. So very often when the universe wants to prepare us to go onto our mission, oh, it will drag us through horrible places, horrible descents. Why? Because it wants us to open the heart. It wants us to root the descent, the journey of Inanna, right? The descent into the underworld. It's brutal, it's horrible, but if we run away from it, if we escape from it, we cannot go further. So it drags us through it. And because we don't have a very good template, in ancestral traditions, yes, we do, but many of us have been disconnected from ancestral traditions. In New Age tradition, no, we do not. There is no good template for working with the underworld. And seekers begin collapsing because there will be a time, because you have to come into your power, right? So that kind of floating above it all is a myth. It doesn't happen. Ascension does not happen without roots. But we embody both. But we don't want to be stuck in the underworld. We don't want to constantly grieve and yell and scream and shout and snap at people. It's not about that at all. We grow up, we grow towards the sun. We are the children of the light, but there needs to be a time. And if we don't find it, we'll be brought there. And so, for example, if you're finding yourself now lacking money, abundance, then think about it. What haven't I grieved? Which descent do I need to go? And with that, I think I'm going to end this message for you today. You can connect with me at healing-radiance.com and subscribe for news and updates. And I'm also going to be having a course where we work a little more with that on abundance and manifesting and kind of structure and roots for advanced and sensitive souls specifically, where we go through feminine archetypes. So that's coming up soon. So stay tuned, and until next time, many, many, many blessings.